Wisdom Tree founder and CEO says tokenized real-world assets are the next iteration of finance. But it's not just Wisdom Tree. Tokenized stocks are quietly exploding on-chain. Trade volumes of tokenized public stocks are now at a record high of $800 million per month. As a result, liquidity in tokenized assets is rapidly expanding. Juniper Exchange, the world's largest on-chain platform, is now seeing close to $200 million in monthly volume in these assets. Robinhood has described tokenized assets as a freight train coming to all major markets. This comes just 2 months after Nasdaq's crypto chief said they are moving as fast as they can to get the SEC approval for trading tokenized stocks. They're all telling you this is all coming on chain. Perspective. Ondo says $270 trillion sitting on the sidelines. Tokenization brings it on chain. Remember when they write these articles, and even when you see people on the mainstream media news, they're always talking about tokenization could possibly be a $10 to $20 trillion market by 2030. Yet you see Archax talking about 30 to 50 trillion. Ondo, 270 trillion. I think we're more in line with the World Economic Forum's prediction of $867 trillion in tokenized assets by 2030. Meaning, because it's starting now, we're going to start to see cryptocurrencies jump up because they're going to be involved in moving these assets across the XRP ledger, across the Stellar network, the Hedera network, and so on. So XRP jumps in price, XLM jumps in price, XDC, HBAR, and so on. But they're not going to slow down when tokenization begins. It's going to be gradual upward movement because more and more value is going to continue to come onto these networks every single day. You think BlackRock doesn't think this is the plan moving forward? Listen to Larry Fink talk about tokenization. They even want to tokenize private businesses and private property. That's why it's so important to be a crypto investor now. You want to break away from the system that they're trying to create, and this is already put in motion. With tokenization of real estate, everybody becomes a lifelong renter unless you are holding something that already makes you rich, something that allows you to stay off the universal basic system that they want to create as well. 99% of financial advisors who allocate to crypto in 2025 plan to increase or maintain their exposure in 2026. So you see, 57% increase, 42% maintain, and only 1% want to decrease their crypto exposure. We're going to see more and more people onboarding because the market is going to continue to go parabolic at some point. And as that happens, the FOMO is going to set in, the fear of missing out. Everybody's going to want exposure to crypto. You're going to have institutional FOMO. You're going to have retail FOMO. You're going to have ETF FOMO. You're going to see new treasuries around XRP created in 2026 alongside the rise of tokenization. Clarity Act crypto bill draft would reclassify XRP, Solana, and Dogecoin as non-securities. Now, I think early on, they're going to classify what's a commodity, what's a security, and so on. But then they're going to go one step beyond that, and they're going to start to say, this is a utility token. This is its utility. This is what it was built to do. You're going to have them list this as a hype token, a speculative asset that you can possibly lose your money in. because that's how they sold Bitcoin for all during Gary Gensler's reign at the SEC. They all know that Bitcoin has no utility, but they got to keep bringing retail in so that the big bag holders can cash out. There's a lot of money behind the big Bitcoin marketing campaign. These people get paid to go on the mainstream media news. Somebody has to pay for that. And Weastwind says, the XRP ledger has an odd track record of regularly being too early, while also regularly being too late. I can't believe I just said regularly like that. This, Pano says, I believe the biggest problem here is bad marketing and exposure. XRP Ledger was the OG DeFi chain, yet it was Ethereum that made it popular and invented terms like DeFi, stablecoins, smart contracts, and made all these features attractive. So XRP Ledger's biggest problem has always been bad marketing and narrative. Too much focus on XRP as an asset and its price, and not the network itself. Also, the names as well. XRP and XRP Ledger started as Ripple and Ripple Network, and Ripple Labs was called OpenCoin. Then there was a change of names, and everything was called Ripple, creating confusion and messing everything up. XRP and XRP Ledger are not even good and attractive names. It's too late for a big rebranding. You know, if they would have called the XRP Ledger something else, people could see it as the blockchain and XRP as the cryptocurrency. I still believe a lot of people don't realize that the XRP Ledger is actually the blockchain. A lot of people don't know that still. Bill Morgan also answered this. He says, how much do you think that has to do with the fact that Ripple could not promote XRP or the XRP Ledger for fear of being sued by the SEC for promoting and offering for sale an unregistered security? Even then, it was sued. This was true during critical periods between 2018 and 2020. And I'm sure that Ripple was aware of the risk from 2013 to 2018. During the lawsuit, Ripple could barely mention XRP. Meanwhile, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptos were promoted with impunity. And in the case of Ethereum, effectively promoted by a senior member of the staff of the SEC, Bill Hinman. Even to this day, Ripple's promotion of XRP and the XRP Ledger is muted. It does it by stealth, under cover of acquisitions and RLUSD. Compared to Michael Saylor's endless ranting and promotion of Bitcoin. And that's true. You know, Ripple could not go out there and talk about XRP and the XRP Ledger the way you see them promote Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. But I think that's why people overlook the XRP Ledger. I talk about it a lot on this channel because I try to show you the difference between the network, the cryptocurrency, and the company behind it, which is Ripple. But take a listen to Grayscale on the XRP Ledger.
We've gotten a couple of questions about XRP.
Yep.
Ripple. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, XRP, one of the largest assets and most liquid assets in the space, a battle-tested blockchain that was originally designed for cross-border payments, but really is expanding to other use cases today. I would think of kind of the thesis for XRP is that it has a very well-funded sponsor, a private company called Ripple that is doing lots of different things and is bringing XRP into their own process. Its long-term success will kind of be a question of whether Ripple is able to demonstrate the use case of its blockchain in the context of the things that it's doing, treasury management, custody, payments. If it can demonstrate the use case of the XRP Ledger, it's kind of home team cooking, if you will, then that would speak positively for the benefits of XRPL, the XRP ledger, to a broader audience. So it kind of one of the OG projects in the space, battle tested, I would say, finding its way in the kind of current market environment, but really sponsored by a, high quality business that's developing on it. And that's what I would focus on. Is Ripple able to kind of get a lot of value out of XRPL? If that's the case, other companies will find value from using it as well.
And because it's battle tested, institutions are going to absolutely love it because they want to make sure that there's not going to be issues down the road, like you see with Ethereum, with the congestion, and then you see and the gas fees, and then you see Solana, which goes down frequently. Institutions don't want to hear that. They don't want to see problems at all. They want everything to run smooth. And that's why you will see institutional adoption of the XRP ledger. Ripple has updated its homepage, bringing institutions into modern finance. And that's all Ripple ever set out to do. They want to bring everyone into the future. And the banks, they want to stay in the past as long as they possibly can because they make money on the current broken system. They don't want to upgrade anything as long as they make money. The problem is the people, the customers, they want the upgrade. They want fast, cheap, and secure. They don't want slow, outdated, and expensive. And that's why Ripple will succeed in the end. ISO 222 is key for Ripple's success. This is a great breakdown of ISO. Take a listen.
ISO is absolutely mandatory for Ripple's success because what the ISO 20022 does is that it puts all of the banks in the world on the same messaging format, meaning like if a bank in the US sends a payment to a bank in Europe, prior to the ISO 20022 initiative, the banks all over the world had different messaging formats for the payments. So one bank, the messaging format might be like the sender's name, the recipient's name, the institutional sending institution, the recipient institution, and so on and so forth. Then for the other bank in another country, the format for the payment was the first line was maybe the institution instead of the sender. Second line might be the branch number, then the account number, and then maybe the name of the client and the name of sender and so on and so forth. So if you want to be able to settle transactions instantly, that messaging format has to be precisely the same as well between all the banks. Because when that money hits their account, the bank needs to know, like, who the heck sent it, from where, at what time, what's the sending institution, what's the account number, what's the branch number, who's the recipient, all this, like, they need to know all these things. So that's why they needed to create the ISO 20022 in order for Ripple to be successful. Because you can settle transactions within seconds with XRP, but the bank still has to receive the information on that payment. Right. And understand what the heck is the information on that payment.
And that was a great breakdown of ISO 222. And the reason why the messages have to be the same, it's to cut out the confusion. It's the same reason I told you can have crypto regulations different from one country to the next country, because then cross-border payments, they would never work. And ISO allows for the use of a cryptocurrency with inside of a message. So that's the only thing that has to change. So if somebody's sending money from, say, the US to the EU, they could then include in that message the use of XRP or XLM or XDC. It doesn't make a massive difference on the surface. What makes the difference is how that message is sent and received. You can't have confusion, because if you do, people will never want to use this system at all. The 73 million XRP nobody wants, sent between 5 wallets in 62 minutes. You can send it to me if you don't want it, guys. And you see it here. So it goes in and then it's sent right back out. 73 million XRP. Then it got sent to this wallet. It went in, came back out. Went into this wallet, came back out, went into this wallet, and then finally it ended up in this wallet right here. And look at what it cost in XRP. I'm telling you, this is insane. All this XRP moving around on a daily basis. And I think it's people positioning themselves. In other words, maybe they didn't like the initial wallet they were using. This is most likely the same exact person sending it in between their wallets. I don't know why they kept sending the entire amount each time, but apparently there's a reason behind it. But you see this type of activity all day long on the XRP ledger now. And I think it's because you have whales sending in between multiple wallets. Then you have people also separating their XRP in multiple wallets. Everybody just wants to be positioned when we go parabolic. And I'm telling you now, it's very close to happening. All the signs are pointing at a breakout right now. When is it going to begin? Nobody really knows, but we all know it's coming. And until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and in this video, every once in a while, when I'm reading through an article or something, I'll hit a word and it just doesn't come out right. And I do it from time to time. So if you're wondering why I mess up here and there, it's because I'm just reading along and then all of a sudden, a word that you might not use on a daily basis, it hits you and you mispronounce it or something like that. But I just wanted to clear that up really quick. I'll see you in the next one.